Hello everyone, I'm happy to be back with a new tutorial as recently I didn't have a single opportunity to make any video for you. Thank you for all your comments, they really encourage me to create and share more, but unfortunately I can't reply to all of them as days are super busy. So today we start a new project and it's gonna be a sleepover. I have to confess, the foundation of the pattern I took from the site of Drops Design, garnstudio.com. I took all the calculations but modified a bit the model itself and put over my chart to make it more authentical. The size range is from S to 3XL, so you will definitely find a suitable one. You can also turn the pattern description into your language. Drops Design recommends using the yarn Drops Snow, which is 100% wool. The weight of it 50 grams, 50 meters. I'm going to use Alafoss Lopi, which is 100 grams for 100 meters, which is roughly the same. The amount of yarn you need for your size you can check in the description on the website. According to the pattern, the recommended gauge is 11 stitches in width and 15 in height. I'm using needle size 8 to make a sample. If the number is not as recommended and you have more stitches, then you need to take a bigger needle size. If the number is fewer, then change to smaller needles. To knit this slipover, you need circular needle size 8 millimeters, 60 or 80 centimeters, and circular needle size 7 millimeters, 80 centimeters, and 40 centimeters. I slightly modified the pattern according to my preferences. I will start from the bottom and work the front and back rib separately, where the back side will be a bit longer. Then I join both parts on one needle and work the body and the round on the circle needle up to the armholes. Then I separate the front and the back again and finish them separately in stockinette stitch. In the end, I will work the rib edge around the armholes and the neck edge. In the pattern it says that I need to work rib and then decrease stitches. I'm not going to do this way. I start with the number after decreasing right away. I plan to knit M size slipover and therefore need to cast on 104 stitches altogether. As my plan is to knit back and front separately, I divide this number into 2 and get 52. I add 1 stitch to each side because I will use them to join both parts later on. I take the needle size 7 millimeters and cast on 53 stitches. You can use any method you like, for example, a classic one. Eventually I've done tubular casting on. If you want to do a similar rib edge, I will leave a link to the video where you'll learn how to do it. Next rows I work 1 knit 1 purl stitch rib. For the front side I work 5 cm rib. I put this part away and cast on back side of the slipover the same way as I did for the front. I work 8 cm of the rib, so the bottom of the sides will be different. When both parts are ready, I need to connect them on one circular needle. I work 1 knit row to join both sides. Now I put them together, and to link both sides I do one knit stitch on the other side and pull the stitch from the right side over it. I keep working knit stitches until I join both sides in a circle. Afterward, I set a marker to see where this row starts. I will count the number of stitches. It's supposed to be 104. According to the pattern, I need to work circle rows until I reach 29 centimeters. On the way, I do some color work. You can find the chart in the description below. I start to work the pattern from row 1, and when I finish all 21 lines of the pattern, I start it again. To do two colors pattern, I place each thread on a separate finger. This way I get better control and the threads don't entangle. As I reach the needed height, I'm going to separate back and front side. Now I need to prepare the body to divide into two parts, back and front, and the tutorial it says how I need to do it. As I have many threads and the pattern, it might be confusing to watch, therefore show the basics of casting off on a separate sample. When I have the body ready, I need to cast off 3 stitches. I do it the next way. I slip the first stitch, then knit the next one and pull the first stitch over. Next one is the same. One knit stitch and pull over. 2 stitches are ready now. The third one is the same. One knit stitch and pull over the right one over the left. Now all 3 stitches are cast off. Then I work next 46 stitches according to the pattern. Check your size here and then cast off 6 stitches the same way. When I'm ready with 6 stitches, I work next 46 stitches and cast off 3. As a final result, I'll have 6 stitches that form the bottom of the armhole on each side of the slipover. Now I need to bind off some stitches according to the pattern. For size M, I need to bind off 3 stitches 0 times, which means I don't do anything here. But if you have size 3XL, for example, you need to cast 3 stitches 1 time. Next time I need to decrease 2 stitches 1 time. When it says 2 stitches, it means on each side. Therefore, I decrease 2 stitches in the purl row, as we have started decreasing from the purl row, and then 2 stitches on the way back in the knit row. All the creases I do the way I have already demonstrated. After that, I have to decrease one stitch 2 times. It means 2 times on each side. One stitch in the purl row, one in the knit row, one in the purl, one in the knit. That's how we count. On the way, I also keep working my pattern. When I start the row, I will always have as the first stitch the main color of the strip, for example brown, red or gray. The last stitch in the row also has to be the main color. So don't finish the row with the color which is additional for one particular stripe. After all decreases, I check the number of stitches I have left. It must be 38. Now I have just plain knitting until I reach 51 cm height. As I do collar work in stockinette stitches, sometimes I will need to cut the thread and move to the other side, which will cause plenty of loose ends, but I will fix them later. Now I need to do decreases in order to form the neck. It says in the instructions that I need to cast off the middle 20 stitches. It means I need to knit the first 9 stitches, then bind off the middle 20 and place temporarily the rest 9 stitches to finish the shoulder. That's what I do. Still doing my collar work, I knit the first 9 stitches. Then I bind off the middle 20 stitches the following way. I sleeve the first stitch, knit the next one and pull one through another. The first stitch is bound off. Then I knit the next stitch and pull the previous one over. The second stitch is ready. This way I bind off all 20 stitches. The rest 9 stitches I put on the extra thread. According to the instructions, I need to cast off one stitch on the next row. So turn my knitting, slip the first stitch, knit the next one and pull over the stitch. So the rest 8 stitches for the shoulder I need to keep knitting until the height of the slipover reach 54 centimeters. When I get 54 centimeters height, I put all stitches on the stitch holder or contrast thread. I also leave the thread end about 3-4 times longer than the shoulder itself and will use it for joining the shoulder at the end. I pick up the loops of another shoulder and start knitting it from the wrong side and do all decreases on the right side. The front piece is pretty identical. I put all loops on the needle and read the instruction. Decreasing, as I see, is absolutely the same as we did on the back side of the slipover. So you just follow the pattern and do decreases the same way. After finishing with decreasing, I keep on knitting the front side until I reach 42 centimeters height. This number I take from the tutorial. Now I have 42 centimeters height and start with decreasing. The main principle of forming the neck is almost the same, but here you can either slip the middle 8 stitches on a stitch holder or bind them off as we did it on the back side. As we have 38 stitches now, I subtract the middle 8 and divide the number into 2 and get 15 stitches. That is how many stitches I have on each side of the neck. I knit the first 15 stitches and bind off the next 8 stitches. The right shoulder I set temporarily on the thread. Let me check how I decrease the neck. It says work in stocking stitch and cast off for neck at the beginning of every row from the neck as follows. Cast off 2 stitches 2 times and 1 stitch 3 times. It's quite clear. I turn my knitting and this shoulder I will always cast off from the wrong side. I slip the first stitch, do purl stitch and move one through another. The first stitch is cast off. I do another purl stitch and move over the previous one. In total 2 stitches I cast off as I needed. Now I finish this row, then turn the direction and work knit row. Next time I'm here again, I will cast off 2 stitches second time. In short words, I do decrease every purl row according to the pattern until I get the needed number. In my case, it's 8 stitches. Now I have only 8 stitches and continue working my pattern in stocking stitches until reaching the height of 54 centimeters. As I work my pattern, it should end at the same row of the pattern as on the back side. When I finish one side, I start work another shoulder. Then I start from the wrong side and will do decreasing every knitting row. Now I have everything ready for assembling the front and back. I start with one of the shoulders. I put both sides face to face and I'll use the thread I left from before to join them. I move one stitch to another needle and knit them together. The next two go the same way. I move one of the stitches to another needle, more for convenience, and knit them together. Additionally, here I pull the stitch through the first one. The same way I do the whole row. That's how it looks now. First of all, I check how many stitches I need to cast on from the edges to work the rib. In the description, it recommends casting on 56 stitches for my size. As the front and back sides of the sweater were identical, therefore I need to cast on 28 stitches from each side. Remember to take needle size 7. I pick up a loop from the edge and place it on the needle right away. On the way, I count how many stitches I already have and compare how many I still need to reach my number. If I see they're not enough or too many, I add additional stitches or skip them evenly. When I finish with the one side and make sure I have 28 stitches, I start doing absolutely the same with the other side. In order to make casting on even, you can simply compare this side with the first one and see how many stitches of each stripe you picked up and repeat it symmetrically. Now you see I have all stitches on the needle. It means I can start with the rib. Here you can see that my needle is too long for the edge, therefore I'm using magic loop technique. If you're wondering how you can use circle needles with a long wire in this case, just find any video on YouTube showing this technique. I work one knit, one purl stitch rib, about 3 centimeters. After getting 3 centimeters of rib, I bind off stitches loosely. You can do it any way you like. I'm doing it using the needle, so it will be a simplified method of the tubular rib edge. But if you want it to look more advanced and professional, I'm leaving the link in the description of how to bind off the rib using a needle. For the neck I need to cast on 58 stitches. I want that the front side a slightly bigger number of stitches, therefore think that we'll cast on 30 along the front and 28 along the back edge. Again, some simple calculations. The trick is that you already have middle stitches. For example, front side has 8 middle stitches, so kind of the bottom of the curve. It means that I need to pick up 11 stitches from each side of it. I take the crochet and pick up loops the same as I did for the armholes. In the back I have 20 stitches in the middle, therefore it will be 4 stitches on each side to pick up. Knowing how to distribute the stitches, I will get an even rib. As soon as I'm ready with all the loops, I work 3 cm of the rib and then bind the cloth loosely. My slipover is ready. As you see, you can find any available pattern in the internet, for example on the website of Drops, and modify it the way you like. Modify its features, add color work, change any details according to your preferences. I hope this video was helpful for you. See you next time.